is Carla Fletcher. I am a research consultant at Trellis, and I lead the Student Financial Wellness Survey. And I'm joined by my colleague, Abby Willems, a research associate at Trellis, and she is the recruitment and onboarding coordinator for the survey. And there we go. Trellis Strategies is a research and consulting organization. We are a nonprofit, and we've been around for about 40 years. We've rebranded with different names a couple of times over the years, but we've always worked in the higher education research space, looking at student access and success from a lens of affordability. We provide data analytics, survey, and customer research services that contribute to positive transformations in education and workforce development. And a big part of Trellis's work is grounded in student wellness. Students come to institutions from a wide variety of circumstances, and things can change drastically during enrollment as well. Students can't focus on their academics if they're worried about their basic needs. Our Student Financial Wellness Survey is designed to help assess how students are doing with their basic needs and financial security, and how it might impact their academics. This survey is free to institutions. Trellis provides this as a part of our community investment as a nonprofit organization. Trellis uses the survey results to produce customized reports and infographics for the participating schools. We also produce our own reports using the aggregated data with the schools all together for the public sphere for policymakers on various issues that are important in higher education. And institutions have used the results to do things like raise money, develop programs, assess initiatives, assign resources, and just build that culture of caring on campus. And this is an example of what Trellis does with the data. We recently released the aggregated report on our 2023 survey. The links and the QR codes here will take you to the report and an infographic that highlights some of the key findings from the survey. The report looks at themes related to basic needs and mental health, student personas, and we focus on parenting students and students who work, both in instances where students are having a lot of time commitments, pull them away from school. And then also just academic disruptions, like missing classes due to transportation issues or work conflicts. So feel free to download that and check it out. Hopefully that was enough time to hang out on that slide. So let's move on to the survey metrics. Today, we're going to talk about the Kentucky Community College results. In 2023, all 16 Kentucky community colleges participated in the survey. We had 3,615 responses out of 45,073 students for a response rate of 8.0%, very similar to our overall survey response rate of 8.8%. And we're happy with that result. That's about what we expect to see for an online voluntary third-party survey of students. And not expecting you to be able to read this. It might be a little bit small, but we're going to go over these stats in the presentation. This is the infographic for the Kentucky community colleges. It looks nice. It's a really effective way of communicating this information in a one-page, easy-to-read format, and you don't have to go through and read the full report to get the information. Each college also received a version of this with stats from their own students. So with that, let's take a look at the agenda for the rest of the webinar. We've broken up the results here into topical sections. I will talk about the student financial security, paying for college, and perceptions of institutional support sections. And then Abby will talk about student well-being, which includes basic needs and mental health. And then she'll wrap up by talking about how to participate in future survey implementations. And then we'll be happy to take questions or have discussions at the end. So we're going to start by looking at student financial security. Among Kentucky community college students, 65% said that they would have trouble getting $500 in cash or credit if they had an unexpected need in the next month. We also ask a hypothetical question. If you had that $500 emergency in the next month, which resource would you turn to first to pay that cost? 23% said that they would use their savings, and 13% would turn to family. Also, 13% said that they would delay paying a bill, and others said that they would use a credit card or reduce their spending. But 31% of respondents, almost a third, said that they would not be able to get $500 from any resource if an emergency happened. And so that is obviously very concerning. Most students said they had run out of money at least once during 2023. Among Kentucky Community College respondents, 25% said that they had never run out of money during the year, and 75% had run out of money at least once. 30% had run out of money 8 or more times between the beginning of the year and late October or early November when they're filling out the survey. And we define running out of money as exhausting available funds and not being able to afford regular expenses. More than half of respondents said that they were worried about being able to pay their current monthly expenses, and only 22% disagreed or strongly disagreed that they worry about this. And another about 20% of respondents were neutral on the topic. So only about 22% of respondents were feeling comfortable that they're able to pay their current monthly expenses comfortably. And you can see that this lines up almost exactly with what we see among all respondents at two-year institutions that participated in the survey in 2023. Now, looking at credit card use, half of Kentucky Community College respondents said that they had used a credit card for something, for anything during 2023. This slide is about that half of the respondents who had used a credit card. So among those, 73% of them agreed or strongly agreed that they always pay their credit card bill on time, but only 28% said they fully pay off their credit card balance each month. So a lot of students are incurring interest as they carry over a balance month after month. And those credit card interest rates can be really high. They're getting really high right now. Additionally, many students reported using a credit card for something they didn't have the money for. 86% of Kentucky Community College credit card users did this at least once, and 35% of respondents who had used a credit card had bought something they didn't have the money for 8 or more times during 2023. Okay, so now we're going to move into our next section, looking at paying for college. And we're going to start by looking at this slide that hopefully is not too tiny, looking at various sources that students report using to pay for college. It's organized into groups by type of resource. At the top of the chart, the first two sources, current employment and personal savings, are what we call self-help. These sources are generally very commonly used among respondents. In the Kentucky sample, 54% said that they used the income from their current employment. It's pretty close to what we see among all two-year respondents. 38% said they used their personal savings, and this is lower than what we see among all two-year respondents, where that was closer to half. Only 3% of respondents reported paying for college only with current employment and or personal savings. So almost everyone is relying on other sources as well as that to be able to afford school. The next group is family support. This includes general financial support from family and student loans that the parents take out. Almost a quarter of respondents from Kentucky community colleges report having support from family. This is a bit lower than what we see among all two-year respondents. And just 3% had parent loans. This is about what we would expect. This is what we see commonly in the community college sector. And then the grants group includes Pell Grants or other grants, scholarships, and military or veterans benefits. Pell Grants or other grants were the most commonly cited resource by far among the Kentucky Community College respondents. Almost 3/4 of them said they use this resource. And that's a lot higher than the 61% that we see among all two-year respondents in the survey. Scholarships are fairly common as well. And then the military or veterans benefits are used by a small percentage of students. And then the last group is credit. This includes student loans and credit cards. Just over a third of Kentucky Community College respondents reported using student loans. And then about 22% said they'd used a credit card to help pay for school, which is a little lower than what we see among all two-year respondents overall. So that is good news. And then we have a series of questions in the survey about the FAFSA. Most respondents across the whole survey said they had completed the FAFSA in the past 12 months or someone had on their behalf. Among the Kentucky Community College respondents, 90% said they had completed the FAFSA in the past 12 months. That's great. That's very high. Among those 90% of completers, we asked who they received help from in completing the form. And this is a check all that apply question, so they could have selected multiple answers. 74% said they completed it themselves. 22% had help from parents, and 4% had help from other family. And then the percentages among sources outside of family were generally small. However, 11% of the Kentucky respondents reported getting help from their school's financial aid office. That's higher than what we normally see. So I think that's good news too. The students are reaching out to their school to get some help. And maybe that's why the rate is so high at 90%. But mostly we do see that students are completing the FAFSA on their own or with their family. And then 8% of the Kentucky respondents said that they did not complete the FAFSA. And those 8% of respondents received a second question asking them why. And the options on this are the options that they were given to choose from. And again, it's a check all that applies. So they could have selected multiple options. 47% said they didn't think they would be eligible for financial aid, and 22% said they could afford college without financial aid. The next three options are ones that I think institutions can help with. 16% of respondents said they didn't want the possibility of taking on debt. So these students may not understand that the FAFSA is used for more than just student loans, and also that they don't have to accept any loan aid offered in whole or in part. The next two saying the application was too much work and that they did not have enough information. Those are definitely places where some assistance may have helped these students complete and submit the application successfully. And of course, you have to know about these students to be able to help them, so they have to come forward. But those are students who perhaps could have completed the application had they received some help. And then a lot of students selected the other option. I'm hopeful that in future years we can add a write-in on this one so we can better understand what some of those other reasons are that people have for not completing the FAFSA. There might be some common themes in there that we're not capturing. And then in my last section about perceptions of institutional support, we're going to take a look at some of the questions that get at how supported students feel by their school. Almost 2/3 of Kentucky Community College respondents felt that their school has the support services to help them address their financial situation, but only 42% believe their school is aware of the financial challenges they face. Now, this could be in part because some students don't reach out to people on campus about their financial situation. In this series of questions, you can see on the end, 30% said that they had not spoken with anyone on campus about their financial situation. Of those who do, they did often report speaking with a financial aid advisor about their financial struggles, but many did also seek advice from officials who are not experts in financial aid typically, like academic advisors, faculty members, or other staff. So students are approaching whoever they feel comfortable with on campus, and it's important that faculty and staff know where and how to direct students who approach them and who need help. We asked students a series of questions about whether they think their school works to make certain things more affordable. This chart is showing only the Kentucky Community College respondents. The darker bars are those who agree or strongly agree that their school makes the item more affordable, and the lighter bars are those who disagree or strongly disagree. So we very commonly see among community college respondents that most feel that their school makes tuition more affordable, with very few disagreeing. And we see that here as well. 79% of the respondents agree or strongly agree that their school makes tuition more affordable, and only 7% disagreed or strongly disagreed. So that is a great stat. 60% of respondents feel that their school makes textbooks more affordable. This is also the category where we tend to see the highest percentage of disagree and strongly disagree, and we do see that here too. We normally see that on that textbooks more where the agree and the disagree are more equal. So this, I think, again, is a really great stat for Kentucky community colleges to see that most students feel that they are making textbooks more affordable. And then for food, housing, and transportation categories, we get a lot of students selecting the neutral or the not apply options. So that's why the percentages are low kind of on both sides of that. But in general, we're seeing more students agreeing than disagreeing. And so those are fairly positive numbers. And cost is an important factor in deciding which institution to enroll in for most students. 82% of Kentucky Community College respondents, and actually 82% of all of the participating two-year respondents overall, agreed or strongly agreed that cost was an important deciding factor. And almost 80% of respondents believe that the cost is worth the investment in their financial future. And on both these questions, like I'd mentioned, they look nearly the same as all the two-year respondents in their answers. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Abby to talk about student well-being. Abby, you're muted.
I thought I clicked it. Thank you. So lastly, we're going to look at some basic needs and mental health stats. So almost half of Kentucky Community College respondents and two-year respondents overall reported experiencing low or very low food security in the 30 days prior to taking the survey. So some common responses were that students ate less than they felt that they should, cut the size of their portions, or were hungry but did not eat because they couldn't afford it. Despite this, only 19% of respondents reported visiting a food pantry either on or off campus. There can be many reasons why students don't go to the food pantry, such as stigma, shame, time constraints, or feeling like others are probably more in need. Awareness may also be part of the issue. Only 41% of Kentucky Community College respondents who were attending institutions with food pantries were aware of their on-campus food pantry, which is a little bit lower than what we see among all two-year respondents. So almost half of Kentucky Community College respondents had experienced housing insecurity during 2023. This can include things like having difficulty paying rent or not being able to pay the full amount of rent, having difficulty paying utility bills, moving in with others due to financial problems, living with others beyond the expected capacity of the living space because of finances, or having to move frequently. Among Kentucky Community College respondents, only 5% of students self-reported having experienced homelessness since starting college. But through the responses to questions on the homelessness scale, which you can see in the bottom chart, about 15% of respondents actually had experienced homelessness. So the most common form of homelessness, as you can see in this chart, was temporarily staying with someone while looking for housing, or that's also called couch surfing. But this scale also includes things like being kicked out or evicted, sleeping in places not meant for human habitation, like vehicles, streets, bus stops, or staying in a shelter. We also look at mental health. So mental health challenges are common on all college campuses. In the 14 days leading up to the survey, 33% of Kentucky Community College respondents reported experiencing symptoms of depression, and 47% had experienced anxiety. There is a little bit more awareness of mental health services at Kentucky Community Colleges compared to awareness of food pantries, with 50% of respondents saying they knew that their school had mental health or counseling services available for students. And that is among respondents who were attending colleges that did have mental health services. Although this is still a little bit lower than what we're seeing among all two-year respondents. And then some special populations. Lastly, the reports that schools receive also note these special populations of students that have been shown in research to experience particular barriers to success in higher ed. So 45% of Kentucky Community College respondents said they were the first in their immediate family to attend college. First generation students may need more help understanding how to navigate the higher education landscape because they don't have that family knowledge to guide them through. 45% of Kentucky Community College residents also reported being a parent to a child or children. These students are more likely to struggle with financial insecurity and basic needs insecurity compared to their childless peers. And 69% of Kentucky Community College respondents said that they were working for pay while enrolled. Students who work, particularly in the community college sector, often identify first as a worker and then as a student. When the student persona is a lower priority, it may become more difficult to focus on academics and persist to graduation. And then 5% of Kentucky Community College respondents reported being former foster youth. While this is a very small percentage of the population, these students often lack the financial means, stability, and support to be successful in college. Fewer than 1 in 10 former foster youth hold a college degree. So this population is very vulnerable and may need some special attention. And then 15% of Kentucky Community College respondents identified as LGBTQIA+, and research has shown that this population encounters higher rates of discrimination, social stigma, basic needs insecurity, and mental health challenges compared to their peers. So the last thing we're going to go over is just briefly how to participate in future surveys if you are interested. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, this is a free survey and we do encourage any institution to participate. Each school who participates receives a summary report of their student survey responses alongside a comparison group made up of all participating schools from your sector. So as you saw in this presentation, that's how the individual reports look, where you have your school and then all 2-year schools. We also create a 1-page infographic that highlights some of the key findings in a nice visual format that's easy to share and quick to read. And you can see that really small on here, and Carla shared it at the beginning of the presentation. We can also do some additional analysis on your school's data if you want to drill down into certain populations or issues, and we're always happy to present on your school's findings to campus stakeholders in a presentation like this. We use the aggregated data to publish reports on various topics, like Carla mentioned earlier. And so as far as the recruitment timeline, we are kind of at the beginning of our recruitment period right now. So during recruitment, we're doing outreach to schools, having conversations, doing webinars, presentations like this. We onboard schools leading up to the September 23rd deadline to complete all steps. And then the survey will launch on October 21st this year. And it is open for 3 weeks. And then in the spring, we deliver the customized reports and infographics. And then schools at that point also have the opportunity to participate in a further analysis of student outcomes. And we'll talk a little bit more about the outcomes analysis in just a bit. So for data security, all of our research team members are certified in human subjects research and have corporate training and procedures on data security and data retention schedules. We do take the data security very seriously, and our company has decades of experience working with sensitive data. We go through IRB review at every institution. It does often end up being waived, but we've worked on dozens of IRBs to varying degrees and can answer any question that would come up in an IRB review. And I often personally fill out IRB applications, and so I am happy to help with that part as well. And then we never release any individual level data, even if it's de-identified to anyone. So only summary level data will be shared outside of Trellis. So for the steps to participate, these are the steps that are required to participate prior to survey launch. So we do ask for a letter of intent to participate that's signed by a senior campus official, like a president and vice president, a dean of students. And we do have a template of a letter that can be used. We also this year have an electronic form that can be filled out too. So we're always trying to make the steps as low lift as possible. And then, like I said, we'll work with institutions on IRB approval. Then institutions will provide a sample of students, including email addresses and select demographics prior to survey administration. This list is sent to us using our secure file transfer system, and getting set up with that system is something that I would help assist with. And then institutions schedule outreach to students, Trellis provides a timeline and sample language that can be used to communicate to students, just to give them a heads up about the survey. And then everything else, the actual survey comes from Trellis, comes directly from our Qualtrics system. And then the last step is to market the survey and provide some incentives for completion. So Trellis offers survey-wide incentives across all of our participating schools, but we do encourage institutions to offer their own incentives as well. It doesn't have to be anything large. It can be a school swag or a bookstore gift card. It's just a signal to students that their school's invested in the survey and wants them to complete it. We find on average that institutions that offer incentives have a response rate that's about 2 to 3 percentage points higher than institutions that don't. So then any marketing of the survey helps get the word out and encourages students to complete it. Just the more that they hear from you all, the less likely they are to think it's spam and to actually answer it. And then our outcomes analysis. So this is something that is relatively new. It's a supplement to the Student Financial Wellness Survey that connects the survey responses to your students, to your institutional data on student success metrics 12 to 18 months later. So these metrics include satisfactory academic progress, GPA, and retention/graduation. So a little time does need to pass to be able to see how the students are faring in school. So for schools that participate in the fall 24 survey, they would receive their report the following spring, and then by fall of 26, they would provide us with the additional institutional data on student success metrics for the students surveyed in fall 24, and we would connect those, conduct the analysis, and create a report. So that's just another benefit of participating in the survey. And you can learn more about the survey at our website. That's there, trellisstrategies.org/SFWS. And it has all of the steps to complete the process. It has more information. You can also scan the QR code. And then if you have any questions or want to sign up or want to connect and have a further conversation, that email there, sfwsrequest@trellisstrategies.org, is the best place to reach out, and that will come to me, and I would be in contact with you to discuss further. And then this QR code just takes you to the sign up page for our monthly newsletter. If you're interested in, the insights, as Carla mentioned, throughout the year, we are doing further research and analysis on the survey, as well as other surveys, other research. So we just share that through this newsletter to keep you informed, engaged, and inspired in the work we're all doing to support our students in higher education. So I believe that is everything that we have, but I know we do have some time for any questions that you all may have for either Carla or myself.
Oh, yes. Can y'all, if you're able to unmute, that would be great. Oh, there we go. Hey. Okay, I think you're unmuted now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Fine. Okay. I'll be quick. Thank you all so much for this thorough, thoughtful analysis and information and all of that. It's so wonderful. I know we've taken some time. This is probably my second cycle of seeing this go through, and I'm excited about, having and inviting our institutions for the next cycle. Okay, let me see. Can you remind me, please forgive me if I miss this on the front end, but how many institutions participated? Was it like all of KCTCS for this one and a few of our four-year schools? I can't remember.
In 2023, it was all of KCTCS, and I believe there
Okay.
was one private institution. If I'm
Okay.
remembering right, Midway, I have to go look that up. And in previous years, we have had a little bit of participation in the public four-year sector, but KCTCS has participated in full for 2 years in a row now, and they're
Okay.
going to do it in 2024 as well. So that's been great, actually working with them. I wish all of the community college systems were that way, because all of the data,
Yeah.
goes up at the system level.
Yeah.
So, but yes, we,
Okay.
yeah, that's been great. And getting the word out into the four-year sectors in Kentucky would be fantastic.
Yeah. So maybe between me and area, we got a little bit of recruiting to do. Okay. All right. And thank you for continuing to always give us all the things before we even think about it or need it or ask for it. So we are fully armed and ready to get out there. There are some things we're doing this summer with different groups that will include many institutional reps. And so I'm looking forward to sharing this and seeing if I can get some yeses early on. Abby, will you still be our contact for that? So okay. All right, awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
I would say I believe you have my
Mhm.
email. But Carla does for sure. So I am your point person for
Okay.
all of that. And I'm happy to, if you have a webinar or something with 4 years, I'm happy to
Oh,
hop on there. So
awesome.
I'm
Awesome.
always happy to do any of that outreach that would help y'all.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and we have materials as well. So if it's helpful to send out like a promotional, one pager that just talks about what the survey is about, we've got all kinds of stuff. So just happy to help in any way that helps you guys. Great. And I know this is being recorded. We can also share the slides if that's helpful as well.
I was going to jump in and just kind of tag on to what Dr. Clark just said and introduce myself. So I'm Ariane Jet Seals, and I am the new senior fellow for basic needs here with the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative. So I know that I will be very much in contact and communication with you all. And yes, we will have some summer projects. I'm currently working on some community of practice meetings for the summer and focusing on food security and housing insecurity work groups, as well as meeting with some connectors. And I feel like that would also be a great opportunity to share some of the promotional material, especially to some of those four-year institutions that are not quite getting involved yet. So I look forward to participating in a partnership more. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Great to meet you. And thank you for all the work you do for students. We really appreciate, it makes all the work on the survey extremely worthwhile to hear what schools and systems are doing with it. And Nan, I'll send you the slides when we're done here, and you can share it out with the group or whoever else would be interested in seeing them.
Okay, not a problem.
Great. Well, thank you all for coming. Really appreciate your time this morning, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.